I keep hearing people tell me they bought a cheap soundbar, only to end up cranking the volume because the dialogue sounded like it was coming from a tin can. It's a classic buyer's regret. You spend a fraction of a budget on something that promises big sound, but the movies end up sounding flat and the bass feels like a thud. So before you click Add to Cart, you have to wonder whether a pricier model actually delivers on that promise or if you're just paying for a brand name. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When you're setting up a home theater in a medium-sized living room, the biggest fear is ending up with a sound system that either drowns you in bass or leaves you squinting at subtitles because the dialogue gets lost. The Sennheiser AMBEO Soundbar Plus tries to solve that exact dilemma by turning a single bar into a virtual 7.1.4 speaker setup, complete with 2 built-in subwoofers. The idea is simple. You don't need separate rear speakers or a complicated calibration process. The bar claims it can fill the room with immersive 3D sound on its own. I tested the bar with 3 everyday scenarios: binge-watching a dialogue-heavy drama, streaming a concert, and watching an action blockbuster with a lot of low-frequency explosions. In the drama, the AMBEO processing actually lifted the voices out of the mix. I could hear subtle inflections that usually get masked by background music on cheaper units. That's a direct win for anyone who watches Netflix or Amazon Prime series where the story hinges on a whisper or a raised voice. The virtual surround effect was subtle but present. You didn't feel like you were in a cinema, but there was enough depth that a sudden sound from behind, like a door slam, seemed to come from a different part of the room. For music, the built-in dual subwoofers surprised me. They delivered a warm, rounded low end that didn't overpower the mids. Listening to a live acoustic set, the bar reproduced the room ambience in a way that felt more like a small venue than a bedroom TV. That's a plus for audiophiles who want a single device that can handle both movies and high-resolution streaming without swapping cables. When it came to action movies, the immersive 3D surround claim was put under the most stress. The bar managed to spread directional cues, a helicopter overhead, an explosion to the left across the soundstage. You'll notice the effect more in a room with reflective surfaces. The sound bounces and creates a sense of space that a flat panel bar simply can't. However, if you're in a very large living room, over 20 feet across, the virtualization starts to feel thin. The bar's output fills a typical 12 to 15-foot space nicely, but you'll need an additional rear speaker or a true surround system for a truly cinema-scale experience. One of the practical concerns people have is how the subwoofers behave in a small apartment. The AMBEO Soundbar Plus houses the subwoofers inside the bar itself, which means you don't have to run extra wires to a separate box. In a compact space, the low frequencies were tight and didn't cause the walls to vibrate like a standalone sub would. That makes it a good fit for apartments, but the trade-off is that the bass isn't as earth-shaking as a dedicated external subwoofer. If you're looking for a bass punch that can be felt in your chest, you might still feel a little underwhelmed. Connectivity is another area where the bar tries to make life easier. It supports HDMI ARC, optical, Bluetooth, and a range of streaming codecs, so you can hook it up to a smart TV, a game console, or even a phone without juggling multiple adapters. The remote, however, is a bit of a mixed bag. It's sleek and minimalist, but it lacks dedicated buttons for quick source switching, so you often end up scrolling through menus to change from TV to Spotify. For people who value a seamless, button-press experience, that could be a minor irritation. Customization is built into the software, and Sennheiser's app lets you tweak the virtual 3D settings, adjust night mode, and fine-tune the balance between dialogue and bass. The night mode is genuinely useful when you're watching late-night TV. It pulls back the high-energy peaks without making the voices sound tinny. That feature alone can be a game-changer for households with kids or thin-walled apartments. So, who should seriously consider the AMBEO Soundbar Plus? If you're a movie lover who wants clearer dialogue without a separate center channel, someone who streams music a lot, and you have a medium-sized room, this bar hits the sweet spot. It also appeals to users who prefer a cleaner setup with no external subs or rear speakers, and who appreciate a brand with a reputation for audio fidelity. On the flip side, if you have a very large home theater space, you're a bass enthusiast who wants thunderous low frequencies, or you need a truly plug-and-play remote with one-press source toggles, you might be better off looking at a more traditional multi-speaker system. In